Damo.
Yes.
Damo.
Yes.
I'm not sure it was our best Saturday, Rub. And
It's
I'm
a
going to play
strange-
some audio for you later
Yeah, okay.
of something that Bill went with late
Poor old
and then got evicted. He got thrown out of the show.
Hose kicked me
Yeah,
off.
she did.
He just took off, though.
Yeah,
You
he just walked
Well,
out
I had
because we didn't want you
engagements.
speaking
had to go back to the Crystal Club.
anymore. Yeah, you had to go back
Had
to
to
the
try and
club.
get in there.
Now, nuts round of footy.
It was.
Ridiculous.
It was.
How many close games?
Oh, an upset.
And clubs taking opportunities and probably more clubs not taking
Yes.
opportunities, and we'll get to all of that. And then we had what we always love, or I love anyway, Jim, a little coach's stoush.
Yes, I
with,
love the stoush.
With what Craig McRae said post-match on Friday night. We don't need to replay all of that, but we can, though, play what John Longmire said today in response to Craig McRae. So just a quick snapshot. Craig McRae, Bill, not happy, as we know, with the non-50-metre penalty against McCartan on McStay. Equally not happy about the Cox and Darcy Moore insufficient intent adjudications against them. And then John Longmire today put it all in context.
It was an extraordinary admission from a coach of a team that has the biggest home ground advantage in the AFL. This year they play 14 games in the MCG. They play 3 at Marvel. That's 17 games, essentially in front of their home crowd. And they play finals and obviously the grand final on their home deck. I wonder what Chris Fagan thought of those comments. That was my initial thought. I wonder what Chris Fagan thinks of this, because it's a pretty extraordinary admission from the club that has the most and the biggest home ground advantage in the competition.
His
bang.
thoughts went straight to Chris Fagan, Jim, in that moment.
Well, so that to explain to people what
Extraordinary
Craig
was the
McRae
wording.
said was if it was at the MCG, that would have been paid.
Yeah.
was the comment.
Yeah.
And I think Horse has got a point. I reckon
Oh,
if
he does.
Craig McRae had his time again, he probably wouldn't have said it.
And if he did have his time again, he wouldn't say it, because he has today on SEN only moments ago conceded that he did, quote, overstep the mark, and he's taking accountability for that. I don't feel he had
Good
any
on
other
him.
choice but to do that, particularly given that the AFL, I think, has been quite lenient on him. I'm not into censorship, but the more I think about what he said, I'm surprised they've only just given him a warning, which
Yeah.
they've done officially today. And again, maybe that's the right thing to
When
do,
I
just
heard
a
it
warning.
Saturday, I thought,
You were big on it on
I
Saturday.
thought, I thought
you were.
he cops one for that.
Yeah.
But good on him. He actually said,
no,
I'm
it's
sorry
exactly-
and I got it wrong. Maybe you could listen to that,
When
Jim.
I get it wrong, then I will be sorry. Keep
No,
going,
he's
Bill.
still unbeaten, Bill. He's never
No,
once
never,
conceded,
never.
ever.
Exactly.
It's not about effort.
Can you give us an update on Harry Mackay? Because Carlton's injury list,
Yeah.
and this is new, like Charlie Curnow ankles, probably shouldn't have played. Martin did his hammy. Fogarty collarbone, Sard hamstring, Jordan Boyd, he just couldn't run.
Boyd throughout
Well,
the game. Yeah.
Boyd couldn't run. And then Harry Mackay.
Yeah, quad injury today that he's had scans on, and again, I'll await the club to put diagnosis on that officially, as they will those other players as well. I'm with you on the Curnow one, given he had spent the whole week in an unknown situation whether he'd play, given he had a problem in that same part of the
Bit
league.
desperate to play him?
Yeah, I mean, they are getting desperate. Do we want to start with the negatives then, in
Go
that
on
regard?
then.
Or,
Well,
yeah,
yes,
we may as well
negative
just
guts.
plough through the negatives now, because they were the big negative out of the weekend. 74-point loss, obviously. Second on the ladder, as you said only moments ago, Bill, after round 19, now out of the 8. And the only win they've had in the past 6 games, Jim, is a game against North Melbourne.
Yep.
So that form line alone is drastic enough, but you've then got a situation where they've now put themselves out of the 8. It's not in their control anymore, and it won't be in their control given how many big-name players they've now got out.
Yes. That is big. Big
They've got
injuries
the
there.
Eagles this week.
Yep. Over in
there,
Perth, though.
in Perth,
yeah.
Yeah.
And they're off a 2-win streak now.
Yep.
And I say a streak because we'll talk about Jared Schofield in the positives, but 2 wins in a row, which hadn't happened for a long time.
The West Coast and then St Kilda.
Yeah. And again, that won't be easy either. St Kilda's finished the season
They make
relatively
things
okay.
hard.
Yeah, they do. Fremantle's another team like Carlton that failed to take an opportunity that was given. So they lost to Essendon in round 21 and then failed to beat Geelong, again with a narrow margin only. But And again, there are excuses. Josh Tracy is such a key player now. He's out. Pierce was out. Darcy was out. But they would have been expected to still win it and probably could have won it the way the game unfolded. Geelong was really good. We'll talk about them and the positives after the break. But they've put themselves in a situation too, Jim, where they may,
Well, they
not
should have
yet be locked away anyway.
Should have beaten Essendon the week before. Should have won that. And as you said, I thought they might have beat the Cats, but they got the Giants and Port Adelaide. So
Tough run them. Western Bulldogs, another team.
Oh, now.
You got something for us?
if bad kicking loses matches, it
Thank
caught
you,
up
Bill.
with them. It caught up with them.
Yeah.
The last 4 weeks, 13-17, 12-15, 15-20 last week, And then 9-18.
But they'd won the previous 3.
They did.
Yeah.
But it caught up with them.
caught up with them.
Finally get you.
Caught up with
Just
them.
sneaks
Bill
up
reckons.
on you and go, bang! But terrible kicking.
And Sam Darcy, who I hadn't identified in him a problem in that space, but he kicked 1-5 in that. Aaron Norton missed a couple of easy ones, or certainly one easy one. So, yeah, it has. But they just also, too, Bill, even if they had have kicked straight, they were not ready for Adelaide
What happened
yesterday.
to them?
Well, I've got a theory on them, and it's, I suppose, in keeping with what happened in 2016 and 2021, the years they made grand finals, and even in this past month of football, they really thrive on being the hunter when it comes to their form surge. They're unexpected wins where they've started the underdog in these matches. Those 2 seasons where they had grand final surges this season in the past 4 weeks, they were the underdog in the 3 of those big matches they won. So they get to the weekend, they're expected to beat Adelaide, and they weren't able to deal with that moment. Now, they've still got time, and it's in their control. They're in the 8, but they may have eliminated the possibilities around a top 4.
You know what else happens, Damo? They've got North Melbourne and they've got Giants at MS. What is that? Manuka?
Was it Marvel Stadium? Is it a home game?
It's Manuka.
Is it? Okay.
But
fair
I'll
enough.
tell you what else is their
What else?
problem is.
Yeah.
They cannot beat the Crows in Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. We spoke about this Friday. They have never beaten them.
Mars Stadium in Ballarat.
Well, they're too many M's.
Fat.
When have they ever had a home game in Barnica?
He's got this little placard and he's
Well,
got
it
all
says
the matches, and he
MS.
thinks he knows only
Mars
about footy.
Stadium.
That's a tough. Well, Mars, all right, it's in Ballarat. But they have not beaten Adelaide at Adelaide Oval.
There you go.
Now, Damo, while we're talking negatives,
Yes.
and winning's winning, so well done to Port Adelaide. That's close to the worst game of football of the year. Oh, 7 goals apiece.
Yeah.
I watched about half an
It was a
hour
slog,
of it, and
wasn't
I
it?
could not watch anymore.
No,
I mean, it was close to unwatchable.
it was. There's no spark in that Melbourne team. Just while we're on the negatives, because we'll talk about Jason Horne-Francis in the positives, but they've got some big decisions, I think, to make, Jim, haven't they? With what's happened to their midfield, obviously Brayshaw retiring medically, Petrarca not being available since King's birthday, the problems with Clayton Oliver, obviously, and the banged up nature of Maxi Gawn, the injury to Stephen May and the back. They've got a lot of issues to wade through, as do the Bombers, who weren't able to beat the Gold Coast after the Mac Andrew kick after the siren bill.
Mac.
And just typical Essendon response after the previous good week of form against the Dockers when they won that game, with the Essendon edge supposedly being back. It was absent in the last quarter.
McDonald's should bring out a burger. The Mac Andrew. Not bad.
Anyway, we'll get to a break. And the positives with Damo next.
Think about that.
It's a Rochelle Triple M. Damien Barrett has stuck around his positives from round 22.
Well, I want to start positively, but you took me down the negative path, as you did last week, Bill. So the big positive is Hawthorn, obviously. So let's spend a little bit of time on the Hawks.
Yes, Damien.
They've embraced the big moment, haven't they, Bill? On top of everything they've done since the 0-5 start to the year, they've had massive crowds at the Richmond game for Dusty's 300, the Collingwood game that was high 70s, and then Carlton yesterday, 84,000.
Why are they so good?
Just because they've learnt and tapped into a sharing component to what they're doing.
3-year rebuild. That's all.
It's extraordinary. Look,
And they got no standout
even Jeff
players.
Kennett, who was the architect of the coaching manoeuvre, he was talking, 5, 6, 7, 8, even 10 years in one certain conversation
But there's
he
no
had.
standouts. Moore's a good player, right?
Moore's a ripping player.
Sicily's a
Sicily's
good
a high
Yeah,
quality
he
player.
is, yeah.
But he's got one arm at the moment.
Yeah,
but he's,
But they all play as a team.
Connor McDonald's had an outstanding season. Will Days had an outstanding season. Weddle is an extraordinary player.
D'Ambrosio.
Massimo D'Ambrosio.
But they all play well.
Yep.
They're just
They
a
do.
team effort
Yep.
every week.
Mabio Chol has had moments
Has he?
early in the year,
My
but
man.
in the absence of Mitch Lewis,
Old phones.
he's stepped up. So no,
He's nearly about to bring a third one in.
No, yeah.
I
He's
reckon
going
that's
that
how
well?
He's going.
I thought he already had 3.
No, 2. And then he got no reception. The
Needs a
Gold
call
Coast
centre.
didn't work for him. Exactly. Now he's back.
No, you're right. And they're good to watch.
They're great to watch, yeah. And I don't think there's any impediment to what they can do. It's not just a matter of just getting there, which was going to be initially the battle when they were 0-5. They've got there with 2 matches remaining.
I have.
Easy games on paper that they cannot lose the 2 games they've got upcoming, given how well they've been playing.
I'm
And
not
then
going to
it's
say where they're playing.
No, don't do that.
just don't give us a venue. Just give us the matchups, Bill.
Well, Hawthorn,
North
they
and Richmond, haven't they?
Yeah, it's Hawthorn.
they got Richmond, MCG.
Yep.
Oh, North Melbourne in UT.
Yep.
UTAS.
UTAS.
Purple, what they are as well is incredibly healthy.
Yeah.
Mitch Lewis is the
He's
only,
the only one. Yeah.
player out, and that makes a huge difference.
They lost
and there
James
is-
Blank at the start of the year, but again, he hadn't yet fully established
Yeah.
himself as a key. I think he was going to play every game this year, but he hadn't yet established himself. But yeah, they're the only
It makes
two.
a massive difference.
Yeah.
And there are some clubs, North being one of them, that should deep dive into why they cannot get their best players playing. It makes a huge difference.
And
Carlton.
Carlton
Carlton's
also.
another one.
Yeah, so-
You got to sort it out.
yeah, you do.
What
You
else
do.
you got,
Well,
Damon?
just on that space, Paddy Dangerfield has come back again from a soft tissue earlier in the year, and just the will to win
Yes.
for the Geelong Footy
Got
Club
him over the
against
line.
Fremantle on Saturday afternoon.
Brilliant. We forget how good a player
He's
he is.
last quarter,
Yep.
and he's still got the ping.
Yes, he has.
And he gets him out of the midfield.
Yep.
Actually, Reece Stanley was good.
He was
He's
really good.
Really good.
He was really good.
But Paddy's still got the ping, but also can take those pack
Yep.
marks. And
Put himself in the
Yep,
big moments
he did.
late in the game, and I felt there was a comparison with what Jason Horne-Francis did on the same day for Port Adelaide against Melbourne. Just in the last 15 minutes of the last quarter, both those guys, Dangerfield for Geelong, Jason Horne-Francis for Port Adelaide, just willed themselves to the ball when it needed to be won, and they contributed to those victories narrowly for their footy clubs in ways that their teammates didn't reach.
Horne-Francis, nearly first or second in the best and fairest. He's had a pretty
I
consistent
think
year.
he's had a really good year, Bill. Yeah, I
Consistent,
mean, the votes have just come through from the coaches.
Well, he got
Association.
7.
He got 7.
and
He's in the-
Dangerfield got 10.
inside the top 10 or 12 now, I think, on the season. So
Yeah.
it's an extraordinary year he's had. You just do forget it's only the third season he's
Yep.
playing, and
Butters has been very good, hasn't
Butters
he?
has been good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rosie was crucial again on the weekend. As you said before, though, Jim, it was a very hard game
Oh,
to
my goodness.
watch. We did talk about this, obviously, Saturday. We spoke to Chad Warner on the Saturday rub, but just to sign off again on what Sydney did to retrieve its season. Big come from behind win in the last quarter against Collingwood, and the Isaac Heeney performance, Bill, was
got the
rewarded
10
with
votes,
the 10 votes.
and also now leads.
Yeah, well, it's the only thing he can win this year, isn't it? Because, he can win the media awards, but he won't win the Brownlow because of the suspension he copped. But it was just good to see him and the Swans back into form. Love what McAndrew did, not just with the match-winning goal after the siren, the big mark he took to have that kick at goal, but the 3 goals he'd kicked previously, Bill, because he started to make a name for him and was drafted as a backman.
Yeah.
But he may just end up being a key forward
Did
in
I
whatever
see him in the
lies ahead.
ruck for a while there? He had a couple of goes at it.
Yeah, in the forward half, I think he was rucking.
Centre bounce. So he's done well, but geez, he needs to get in the weight room.
Well, he doesn't because he's
Can jump in
developing.
there.
Yeah. He floated for that last mark, didn't he, in a way that was embarrassing for Essendon. Just someone who does also do the ruck, Bill, definitely in the centre is Aaron Cadman for GWS. And the 3 goals that he kicked in the last quarter was a great performance for the Giants against Brisbane, Jim. And he got some really great support too in the last quarter from Darcy Jones, who's had a really good first year. We talk about Ollie Dempsey and Georgie Wardlaw before he got concussed 2 times late in the season as being the standouts after the Darcy and Reid ineligibilities in that award. But I think Darcy Jones might sort of mount a case to sort of come in the placings somewhere officially when they do announce that particular
Jess
award.
Hogan, by the way, top of the Coleman.
Yeah.
Jesse, even.
Yep.
It's done well.
3 goals. So he's
playing
been
beautifully
outstanding
years.
all year. Just a quick mention to Rowan Marshall for St Kilda too, because we talk about all Australian ruckmen, and I'll throw obviously Tristan Cherry into this
Yes.
conversation. They lost North Melbourne badly, and they've only got the 3 matches that they've won out of the 21 to this point of the year. So he's got himself into that conversation. I think Rowan Marshall is as well. I've still got Maxi Gawn just ahead. I like what Oscar McInerney has done as well, and I think Tom de Koning, had he not gone down relatively late in the piece, might have been in that chat as well. And just a bit of a mention for Jared Schofield, 2 wins in a row now for the West Coast Eagles.
And well done to the Crows. And Darcy Fogarty, who's
Yeah.
a big boy and
He is a big
shows
boy.
some things and was good on the weekend.
Jordan
so.
Dawson, really good again. Your man was also good, Jim. Ben Keys.
Oh,
another 3 goals. But-
Keezer.
But I just look at that, Bill, as being an underlining of the disappointment of the Crows this year. Their best is good enough to
Just be
beat teams
You're
like
in
the
the
Western Bulldogs.
positives. Just be positive.
Yeah, I know.
Just be positive.
But this
Damon.
is a season that has been wasted by this football club with its inability to win close matches.
See, you're in the positive. You have to go to.
No, I get it.
Giants, for me, that's the win of the round
Yeah.
in
Do you
Brisbane.
guess who got the
They are
10 votes
magnificent.
there? I'll give you 10
Go on.
guesses. James Petling.
Peatling.
Peatling.
Mm.
Petling. And now,
Pete, good effort.
I'll tell you who didn't get the 3 votes.
Who, Jim?
was Fat on Saturday.
Why?
You weren't there at all mentally.
You
No.
left early.
At all.
Was I on?
And then at the end,
You didn't watch any footy.
you didn't watch any footy.
Oh,
You
I was
hadn't
on a
seen-
plane for
you hadn't
4
seen
hours.
a single second of Sydney
You've
and
been in the-
no,
Collingwood.
Isaac
And
Heeney
then
took a good mark.
the
in
next,
Been in the Crystal Club all night.
the last segment, this is what Fat went with.
I've got a new segment.
What is it?
is
Drop
it?
your glass.
No, guess
Noises?
this sound.
Is it your
You ready?
nose?
Yeah.
Go.
Oh my God.
How good is that?
Fly spray.
He's
Ring
now
now,
got
1
Glenn,
333
He's got Glenn 20.
Right, I've
much
got
less.
another sound. You
Oh,
ready?
no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What was that one?
This is kindergarten, isn't it?
No, it's
We're
a
in
great little
kindergarten.
segment. This will
Ankle
take
tape.
off.
Ankle tape.
No, sticky tape.
Maybe you could just say goodbye now.
Mate, I think you probably
Yeah.
should,
See ya.
because no one wants
See
to
ya.
hear any more from you.
And then,
Hose banished him
you
from the
what.
show.
do you recall at that moment too? He said, "Yeah, I will go." He then walked out. Forgot his headphones were still
Yeah, he
on.
did. And so his head got ripped back.
Yes, I wasn't on.
And the quaddie.
Yeah.
We got the quaddie.
Did you get the quaddie?
And?
Didn't you arrive at 9:30? Thought you had a few more
mate,
hours.
that's
to
Yeah,
sleep?
no, he did.
That 2-hour timing, it's ridiculous.
Have you put your bets on? No, it's 9:30.
9:38.
Like, seriously, you were nowhere, Fats.
It's too
So
early
a-
for the tips.
A
he
new
said.
segment for the rush hour next
Yeah.
week.
You haven't actually had a very good Saturday rugby year. You've missed a lot of them, and the ones you've been
Skipton.
involved in, you haven't been any
Amazing race.
good
Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires,
at. Yeah,
or BA as we call it.
Yeah,
Anyway, new segment next week.
no, there'll be no segment. next
Jay
week from
said
here.
thumbs up.
Jay said thumbs up.
He come in, he goes, love it, Bill, love it.
Good to see you, Purple.
See you guys.